Hello, welcome to this presentation about automation with TestCafe. My name is Andres, and I've been working with this tool for a while now, and I want to share some cool things about it. Okay, about this presentation, I have some things here. First of all, this is a kind of script to guide my speech to help me organize. And the other thing you will find is many links. So in case you want to dive deeper in anything that we will mention here, you can follow those links and well understand a bit better. Okay. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about two other tools that I use and I find very useful. One is Visual Studio Code, which is the IDE that I will be using for this presentation. Very powerful, very cool, simple, platform agnostic. So it's very cool. If you want to give it a try, it's free. So you can find more info here, many videos. Give it a try. The other thing related with Visual Studio is that you can have many extensions, and this is another powerful thing about it. You you can see in the marketplace many extensions. I will talk a little bit about Preacher, but you can see here I will talk about Preacher, but for example, if you want GitHub related extensions, you can find many. If you want mining, Salesforce, very powerful. Salesforce, sorry. So you can select any extension, add it to your IDE, and it's pretty cool. What about Prettier? Prettier is an extension related with formatting. The cool thing about Prettier is that auto formats your code, so you can forget about it. It's not a matter in the reviews of code. It's simpler. You just have to create a file with a configuration. This prettier RC. I have this example, for example, semi-false for the semicolon, single quote. You can play with this, true, false, and you have many other configurations. Oh, this is a cool thing. My team, for example, use Prettier, and it's pretty cool because format it's not a matter. Prettier takes care about it, and that's it. Okay, let's continue. Let's close some things here. So Visual Studio, Prettier, and let's go. Let's jump into TestCafe. Quick intro. TestCafe was created by DevExpress, this company that makes mobile applications, many cool stuff. They needed something to test their own code, their own features, and they were not finding what they needed in the tools that were already in the market. So they created TestCafe as an internal tool, and after that they share it with the community. It has two flavors: TestCafe itself, TestCafe tool, which is a node-based tool, free under mid license, and TestCafe Studio. Here is a little comparison. TestCafe Studio is not free, but it's great because it's an entire IDE where you can record your own tests, and after that create it. If you want to give it a try, you have 30 days free. It's really cool. About pricing, I think it's not too much, and you're covered with this. When you can use TestCafe Studio, when you have a team that your developers don't have time to write scripts, and start creating tests easily and fast. But it's also very powerful. I'm working for a very big project with many tests, and many people working together in the same thing. Our test team is about 15 people right now, and about 5 or 6 are coding UI automation tests with TestCafe. So the project is very big, and TestCafe was just fine. Um, you can run your tests in many browsers, which is also a cool thing. We will take a look at this later. And you don't need external things, external libraries or plugins. TestCafe has all you need. The other cool thing is the weightings are already built in. So, for example, if you want to click on an element, you don't to explicit have to uh, write that weighting for that element to be visible or to be clickable. Uh, TestCafe takes care about this complexity. So this is very cool. I put here a comparison because first question for someone working with Selenium is why TestCafe and not Selenium? Well, pros and cons. You can take a look. At the end of the day, it depends of your needs, your team, things like that. So both are great tools. Selenium is already established. TestCafe is a bit newer, but it's performing very well. So I have already installed it in my system because it's my everyday tool, but you can install it just with this npm install global TestCafe, and you're ready to go. Uh, I want to mention that the documentation is very good. You have anything you need. This is, for example, for the getting started. But with this search here, you have, I don't know, whatever you need. Assertions, for example. Yeah, all the APIs very well documented. Anytime you need to do something that you don't know, you can come here, just dive deeper into the documentation. It's great. This is another good point. So let's start with this. How we start? Let's take a look. I have here a very simple project. Are you seeing my screen, I suppose? Well, this is my folder. Inside it, have this another TestCafe folder, and I will start with this small test here. What I need is this fixture. I can have as many fixtures as I need in a test file. This is a test file. Inside the test file, you can have many tests like this. So let's take a look at what it's doing. Fixture, hello Google. You can print your test title here, and that page gives you the first page where your test goes. And here you have the test, a name, and we use asynchronous await structure. Don't forget about the awaits, otherwise you will not execute anything. So what we have here, type text and press enter. Let's see what happens. I want to run this with something like this. TestCafe Chrome, why Chrome? I will let you know right now. So TestCafe starts its own browser. In this case, it's Chrome. It goes to the page, type text, hits enter, get the results, and it finishes. And the test passed. Very simple. Why Chrome? Well, this structure is in the package.json file. You create this file. Here are some dependencies, but this script is important. So the name is test. I said test cafe, Chrome, and after that, the path of the test I want to run, which is this. What happened if I want to run in Safari? Select Safari, save it, run it again, and now it should run the same test but in Safari. Pretty cool. We don't install anything extra. Same test. Boom. Okay. Let's be a little more deeper. This is the test controller. You see here this T in the test here. This is a test controller. Every time you want to perform an action, you use it. That's why you see there. You call test action, handle browser dialogues. You use the wait function, execute assertions. You use the test controller for everything. Okay. Find here. This could be more complicated, but let's keep it simple now. We already talked about package.json. And we already interacted with the page. Let's take a look at the documentation to the TestCafe API. Many things you can do with the page. Click, press key, navigate, type text, etc., etc., etc. If you want to go to the click, for example, you have the click, double click, right click, etc. Okay. What is missing here? Why this test is not complete? Because we don't have any assertion. So let's add some assertion here. So we type await the expect. And for example, for Google, I want to retrieve this element. I can use this class G. So let's use this. What I have here, I have the results. I just want to assert that I have results. Um, this. So class G is the common selector for those results. So that's why I will expect that the count of this selector is not equal to 0. Why not equal? Well, it's a light assertion, but I want to be sure that I find at least something. So this is a structure. Um, let's save and run again. And that's it. Passed. If I put here equal, it should fail. Let's take a look. You see the red light there. So fail. And I have no result displayed except 10 to be deeply equal to 0. Let's. Okay, this is very simple. Let's continue. We interacted with the page, and we made an assertion. More about asserts. Many things that you can assert. Um, very well documented. Deep equal, not deep equal, okay, not okay, contains, not contains, type of, etc. Many things that we can assert. Couple of things. Speed. As you see, the test runs very fast. So maybe if you want to debug something, it's too fast for the human eye. So you can do something like you have two options. One is this. You can add this. You can set the test speed with a parameter between 0.01 and 1. 1 is the full speed. But let's see what happens when I set this. And we run again. One tip is that this browser window should be always visible. A little bit slower. The other thing that you can do is put this parameter here when you run the tests. It's not a good thing to leave that in your scripts when you have this running, for example, in CI/CD. It's just for debugging, but it's a cool thing. Now you can see how it goes a bit slow. Okay. Hooks, that's a cool thing. We can work with before, after, before each, and after each in the tests. When you want to set data, when you want to set test preconditions, post conditions, that's very powerful. If you want to repeat some lines of code, pieces of code in every test. Now we have only one test, but if you want to, if you have many tests in a test file and you have to repeat something for every test, you can do it in a before each structure. So you can do something like, let me copy paste to be faster, something like this. This is a structure, but let's take a look in a different test of this TestCafe test here, which is example. The example is a common case in my daily job is I always have to log into the application before to run anything else. So the login is always in the before each. In this case, let's do something like this. The page will be this TestCafe URL, which is here. But after that, I want to navigate to other page, which is the examples page, right? So let's do this. My page, my initial page is this. So before running anything else, I want to navigate to example page. So I will put this in the before each. I don't have to repeat it every test. I have one, two tests here. Let's talk about this later. What else I am doing in this before each? Expect the logo. So when I start, I want that this element is present here. Click the cookie, let's see if it's present, and do the navigation. This is another thing that we can do. And after that, after the navigation, we will verify that the header is present. So let's take a look. Before each, have this first test here. Let's delete this. And we have two tests and one fixture. Let's take a look. This test is called TestCafe. So let's add another line to our package.json. Instead of test Google, let's use TestCafe. So this script says that we'll run this test instead of this, right? We were using the yarn, but let's use npm just to see that it also works. So here is the first page. We assert this is present. Now we navigate to the example page. And let's see, we have some fail here, which is going on. Page load timeout is not defined. Oh, okay. As you see, I am using this terminal inside the Visual Studio Code. So it's cool because you can just command click in here, be redirected to the line of code which is failing. In this assert here, I added an extra time, but this is not defined. So let's do something like ten seconds is too much, but okay, it's to be sure that the page has enough time to load. And let's run this with Chrome. Still terminal again. Oh, sorry. This is the running one. Another fail. What is going on? Let's take a look. As you see, now it's running the second test in the test file. Okay, let's review the results. Second test, passed correctly. First one, it fails here. This assertion. Thank you, Jane Doe, to include Janet. What is this test doing? Well, it's going to, let's do it manually. This is the page. Types here and hit submit. Now you are redirected to this page, and we are asserting that this text here is correct, but it's not, because when we type text, we typed Jane Doe. So in our assertion, we should expect that this is exactly what we have, but instead of Jane, we said Janet. That's why it's failing. Let's fix that, and let's run one test. We have two options here. Second test is passing fine, number 2. So let's skip it and just run the first. So doing this, you skip this test and you run just this. The other way is to use the only here options. Let's do this, and let's run again the first test. So this is what we want. Type and assert that this is fine. Let's run it. Let's do it. Slower. First page, navigation, type, submit. This last page is very quickly, and maybe you cannot see it. So what we can do is to add an extra time. For example, a logout in a typical login logout scenario. Let's do it with an after each. Let's do something like this. Here, you leave the system in the state you need. You can do anything after each. The after and before runs after and before all the tests, right? And before each and after each runs before and after each single test, right? So let's run both tests now, and after each we will navigate again to the TestCafe page, and let's wait a couple of seconds before we go. So these hooks are not new. Maybe you already know it from Selenium, uh, but it's very powerful to work with the test preconditions, to avoid repeating code in each single test, things like that. It's very cool. So this is the actual test, and after that we navigate again here, wait a couple of seconds, and go away. This is the second test. Again, we navigate to the first page and finish. Okay, let's continue with our script. Browsers, we already did something like this. In this package.json, you can set the Chrome. We use already Safari, but we can do some other cool stuff, like, for example, run in a headless browser. For example, you run it headless, and let's see. It will be faster because the UI will not be involved. This is very useful when you use your test in a CI/CD schema. For example, our tests run every day in Jenkins. We have some other sets of tests that run every deploy or every hour, things like that. So you see both tests passed and UI was not displayed. What else we can do? We can work with emulations. This is very cool. Instead of headless, let's do something like this. We will use this Chrome emulation, and we will pretend that we will be using an iPhone 10. This is something like this. You can come here in Chrome and pretend to use an iPhone, for example. You can do this with TestCafe. So let's try. Package.json, Chrome emulation device. Okay, let's try it. No plugins, no external libraries, nothing. It's just TestCafe installed, and it has all these options, which is pretty cool. Um, it's headless. Oh, wait, I'm not seeing that. Oh, I didn't save it. Sorry. Here we go again. Oh, yes. So you can see that Chrome is using that iPhone emulation to run the test. Maybe some things could fail because the test itself is not optimized for this screen. So, but the good thing is that, yeah, both, yeah, this cookie notice, it's not the same in the full browser and in the emulator. So that is failing. But the good thing is that this is running in an emulator. And here it's failing because the behavior is different. Maybe the selector is different, the times are different. So cool stuff. So let's go back here. We see different browsers. When you run locally, you have to set in the package.json here the browsers that you already have installed in your system. If I use Firefox, for example, it would fail because I don't have it installed. When you use it in a CI/CD environment schema, the, the the browser will be downloaded, and after that, we'll execute the test. Selecting test only skip. Uh, we already did it, but to be more clear, I have some tests here, and I can skip just the test, or in the case I have many fixture, you can skip all the fixture, or you can only. Why why it's useful to have many fixtures in one test file? For example, if you have very related tests that makes sense to have them in the same test file, but both have different preconditions. So for the same page, you have different preconditions. So you can set in the before each in one fixture the preconditions for one test, and in the other different. Also post conditions. You can set different after each for some tests. So that in those cases could be useful to have many fixer in one test file. Okay, let's move on. Oh, cool. Packaging should only skip. Great. I'm in time. Um, some more documentation about fixture. Again, fixture only, fixture skip, test only, test skip. If you want to take a look, everything is here. Test only, test skip. Very powerful API, very powerful documentation again. So it's really, really cool. What happened, just a last example. In this package.json file, the script says it will run TestCafe folder, TestCafe test, but if I only set this cafe folder, which is this, it should run both tests, both test files, test cafe and test Google. So let's take a look if it works. I mentioned this because you have many ways to set up which tests you want to run or not, right? So let's try with this. From again, and now it's running all the folder. First test in test cafe file. This is the second one. And now it should run the Google test, which is this. Boom. So here you have the results. We run the Hello Test Cafe example page, passed the submit test, the radio buttons test already passed, and then we run this test file and already passed. Pretty useful, pretty cool when you have green lights and also when you have red lights. Very powerful, the information about which is failing, which is aligned. And if you use this terminal, you can jump from here to the line which is failing. Let's take in a couple of minutes a closer look to the second test and see what it's doing. Many things, but it's quite simple. Again, the pages, um, this. So we want to just click in a couple of check boxes. That is what it's doing, playing with these checkboxes. So first of all, console log. I want to display in the console which is the value of that checkbox. So this is the checkbox, and I am use the checked parameter of that selector. So first is false. After that, I do the assertion. I expect that is false. After that, I click it. I print again the value, and I expect that the new checked value is true, right? So I am displaying it in the console, but this is what is happening. Interesting things here. We are using the selector. This TestCafe selector allow us to work with many properties of each selector. In this case, is checked. After that, we are using the assertion, the equal, for that false or true value. We already saw about this click interaction with the page. And after that, I do this hover, just another interaction. I hover the submit button and I wait and it lives. Just to see some other, this is also a very cool stuff. When I go to the submit button, as I didn't type anything here, I am expecting that this submit button is not enabled. So this is here. The submit button has attribute disabled and the test is passing, so it's cool. After I type the name, this attribute is not okay. So the button is enabled and I set this assertion here. So we can play with many stuff with the page. Again, please refer to the documentation, to the API, which is very powerful, very well documented, and you can do many things. I don't know if I wanted to mention something else. Yeah, I have this page here. This is kind of page object model stuff. I have my selectors defined here, and I use these selectors in the actual test file. So you can see here, I click, for example, to make it simple, I click in this. Which is this? This is a selector that is defined in another file and exported. So if I come and click here, it redirects me to this other file. This is not a particular thing about TestCafe, but it's about working in a model where things are well organized. If you test grows and you have many files, many tests, many pages, it's a good thing to work in things like that. You have a page to map your site, a file to map your page, and another file to actually execute the tests. You can also use, for example, a setup file where you can define some helper functions. So every block of code that you need to repeat, instead of have it repeated again and again in your test file, you can have it in another file. You export it, you import it here. Well, this is more common for people used to work with this kind of page object structure schema. But I just wanted to mention that it works fine with TestCafe. Last but not least, about the weights, don't use these weights. It's just an example, but it's not a good thing to hard code these weights. TestCafe has implicit weights, and in case you need some more time, you can do something like this. Timeout, for example, 10 seconds. So in this case, TestCafe will wait up to 10 seconds to these conditions becomes true. So this is a better way. If the condition is satisfied in the first second, TestCafe does not wait all the time. This is just a maximum time. Just this. Um, it's an introduction. As you see, it's a very powerful tool, and we could see many more things, but these are some basic stuff, so you can see that things work and work fine, and you can see the this running in different browsers. You also have this cool stuff. For example, if I put this, I will run the test with concurrency of 4. So we will have four browsers running our test at once. One. Well, I have many now, but again, many many possibilities to run. Let's kill it. Um, and that's it. So again, thank you for your time. If you think that things like that could be useful for you, please follow the links in the presentation. Just reach me in talk, and we can discuss more about it. And thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Andres. That's pretty cool. I like this as another option besides Selenium. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Anna. It's cool. I know that there's a couple of projects here in Octana using TestCafe. This is one, which is an Salesforce internal project, and I think there's something else. Yeah. Okay, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.